I was nearly killed in the late 1980s. I remember the ambulance flashing blue, red lights. Paramedics looked down at me as I arrived. Their faces showed stress and haste. We had a nightmare in the admissions room. I lived during the height of the AIDS pandemic. I was coughing, had brown sores on my face, and had lost a lot of weight over the summer. Not the best time to be hospitalized. I was denied entry. My friend took me there with the paramedics and urged that I be treated, saying I was with the news division, which helped. I was accepted. An intern put me on a gurney and dressed me like I was active. I was bleeding without knowing I had appendicitis, TB, or Crohn's illness. I looked up and reached for the intern as I was transported to the ER. It was hard to feel discomfort in my bottom left side and abdomen. I tried to talk to him to figure out what was going on, and he looked at me with panic, dressed up. Only his eyes and brow perspiration were visible. He cornered me and left me. I was bleeding everywhere with tremendous abdominal discomfort. On the surgical table, I remember the anesthesiologist. The table was frigid when I was in this gown. He turned me over, warned, "This is going to hurt," and I left in seconds. As I looked at this medical personnel moving into procedure, Peter Anthony, me, myself in spirit or ethereal form, looked down at Peter Anthony on the operating table in physical form. It was like everything was in 3D. The clock, cart table, name tags, masks, and everything else were visible to me. I recall gazing down at my body and feeling like something had attached itself to my solar plexus, pulling me. I saw a spinning tunnel as I looked down at Peter in corporeal form. I call it the bullseye. Again, how this works is that my spirit and physical connections became one, and I'm being driven toward this tunnel. People from this lifetime appeared before me at this tunnel. Seeing my sister, family, neighbors, and even my third-grade teacher, I felt like they were saying, "Come on in, this is your new place, your new home. Come with us." I assumed you died since I didn't know who you were or what you were doing here. No one judged what was happening. No illogic. This seemed like something I should accept. I did, gracefully. I remember spinning into this tunnel and seeing these mathematical codes. Some of them are challenging quantum physics for numerologists nowadays. Angel codes -222, 333, 444, 999. Spin before me as music and color. Definitely can't explain color. The sounds, math frequency, and downloading and understanding each code are indescribable. It seemed like I was psychically connected to the world. My wisdom expanded beyond consciousness, as if I took a crash course on world history. Einstein, Darwin, your school teachers, the priest I went to Catholic school with. All of this collective intelligence was being downloaded into my consciousness from 0 to 60, and I was understanding it. As I go through this tunnel, I'm accepting it. In addition to seeing the colors and mathematical symbols spinning around me, I downloaded consciousness and realized that everything that happens to us on this planet, from birth to death, is recorded. Every second, moment, breath, and action matters. As I went through this tunnel, I realized there is no judgment, no black, no white, no homosexual, no straight, no Muslim, no Christian. Spirit is only present when spinning through this tunnel. The soul energy contains love, compassion, and kindness. Currently, I realize that my peace is what matters. This is judgment-free. Instead of asking, "Why am I here in this tunnel?" you accept and comprehend. I recall getting to the end of the tunnel, which wasn't really an end, but a tree. The only tree I can compare this to is the tree of life, which I didn't know until 2011 when I lectured on near-death experiences in Los Angeles. I didn't know what the tree of life was, but I sat in this Game of Thrones-like tree, and my life review began. Going back to 0 to 60, every moment was recorded, from my birth to my birthday at 1 year old, 2 years old, learning to walk, going to school, playing in the park. Every moment was a matrix. Again, looking at this matrix, you realize you're downloading every instant. You're seeing your mistakes. Peter looked at young Peter and said, "You could have done better." These life evaluations, these small moments of life, are like a Diet Coke or Coca-Cola commercial. You know, start. Just a slice of life, watching your life and witnessing stuff. I recall not voting, not worrying about floating, and throwing a gum wrapper out the window into the river and watching it sweep into the water. I saw this gum wrapper mix with needles, cat litter, fast food bags, and other waste as it flowed down the river to the ocean. What I do affects everyone, I discovered. I observed on the other side that everything we do on Earth, even when we don't think anyone is watching, is recorded in the Matrix, and you realize that. I remember watching this life review with an ascended master next to me, and so many people have told me, it must have been Jesus, or it must have been an angel. I can't say for sure. It was an enlightened entity more sophisticated than anything I had ever seen on Earth. I remember the brilliant light gushing from this corporeal presence, not questioning his identity because it was a male shape. I couldn't see myself, but I could see this person peering out into my life review, and you're watching. It was loving, humbling, educational, and awakening for me. I recall leaving this life review and the tree, and seeing a galaxy of stars and shards. Before me, it was like looking into the sun, but it was simply gold. I realized that we are all connected. The grass, the beach, the mountains, the sky, the rivers. And we are no more than the rock, the trees, the cats, the dogs, the dolphins, and all these regions on the world. Downloaded to my consciousness. Carbon is all we are. We return to Earth when we die. I also realized we live lifetimes after lifetimes. Karma doesn't mean you're punished for your past actions when you return. You didn't do that in your last or previous incarnations. When you return, you can repeat till you finish. I think history repeats itself until the lesson is learned for me. Looking down at this, I saw global pollution. I could see the coastlines and our future. I could envision myself authoring books, touring, and talking about my near-death experience without stuttering. The voice asked, "Do you want to go back, in the face of all this?" I answered yes. I remember hitting my body. Impact occurred when I hit my body. Not able to explain. I felt like I was flying out of the cosmos from the stars and planets, not going back into the tunnel or operation room. I recall everything happening at light speed, felt my soul dragged down like a vacuum cleaner into my body. When I hit my body, I felt pain. I felt the surgery in my stomach and anal route. I smelled drugs with my eyes closed. I heard. My doctor informed me I was out for 3.5 weeks. In operating room 11, cubicle 11, I died at 11:11 p.m. on November 11. I believe it was 1 minute 11 seconds. These 11s were my task when I returned from surgery, which was difficult. Only numerology drove it. I guess I woke up at 3.5 weeks. I remember opening my eyes and seeing the doctors and nurses, and I saw God, numbers, the plan, and what we're doing. I couldn't stop chatting. I recall nurses and physicians looking at me like I was insane. I could see their eyes widening like I was a circus show. A nurse stood by and listened without judging. I could hear their thoughts. I recall one nurse saying, "Oh my God, he's a nutcase." This became my life struggle. Though it was my darkest period, it was the best since I acquired understanding. I got life in return. I understood my destination and actions had purpose. Though I was in the war and others didn't believe, it ended magically. That was hard. My family still ignores me. I had some relatives. Some friends stopped visiting. The hardest part was that in the late 80s and 90s, I was 85 pounds and had brown sores on my face for months. Everyone guessed why. People didn't talk to me because of AIDS. When life gets gloomy, you look within, and I did that. Starting to read, I returned to a mediocre news career. I couldn't talk about this until a woman came up to me while I was getting my hair cut and said, "You died, didn't you? And you came back." What she saw on me, I think in my life at that time, was a miracle, and it opened me up. I shared my story, and she shared hers. She died on the table after cosmetic surgery. I told her about my surgery and clinical death. We were like two lost souls who discovered each other at opposite ends of the earth. So that became my hope. I become a student by reading and studying. Studying and free reading at work. I lead a double life and did all these readings, and people came to me, and here I am, working Monday through Friday, absolutely booked on Saturday and Sunday. Because it was taking too much time, I started charging $25, and they'd go away, but they kept coming back. Next thing you know, I'm offered a series using numerology to solve paranormal situations. I became a ghost hunter and traveled the world. It seems like what happened to me was destiny as I look back at this period in our life. I was on the wrong path, but I'm delighted to say that as a numerologist, spiritual, I don't want to call it a guru, and certainly astrology, numerology, but certainly an expert in this subject matter for many years. I've used it to heal people. My clients are often in abusive situations. Many of my clients have troubled family relationships. So I have great clients. I'm still a paranormal investigator, and looking back at this period in my life, it's like my worst nightmare became my miracle, like I walked through the darkest shades of despair and ended up in a rainbow of light and potential. I think for your audience is that no matter what you go through, no matter how many unhappy experiences you have, your job, your relationship, your neighbor, not making enough money, I learned to use my thoughts correctly and keep an open mind. As we move toward an era of so much judgment, right against left and radical versus liberal, that doesn't matter. What counts is where you are today, how you are showing love, helping this individual, and being kind. I learned on the other side that we're given a choice, and today's choice is where am I, what am I doing, and what do I do if this isn't working out? When a decision fails, you don't abandon your job, you discover alternative. I always say love what you do till your passion finds you. It will always appear, even if not immediately, so don't give up. I can't walk, I lost my eyesight, and I was given 3 months to live. I understand social profiling, but I also know that despite everything we see and feel, there is good on earth, and you may be it. Take a moment, try your hardest to be nice, and watch as that one stone on a glass lake ripples around the world. Thanks for listening to my tale. I hope this helps.